Okay, guys. So the class start. We start the class, guys. So I've closed all your issue because simply you already know how to solve the problem. So I already coded with you. So yeah, you can just finish it and just push your code. It's fine. As for today here, if we go down here, we have something now for it's the new module actually. It's called asynchronous programming. It's super important. It will be for 3 weeks. And during these 3 weeks, you will do the exercises in your repo and also you'll do a few projects. So what you need to do here, you need first to fork this repo here, which is called asynchronous programming. And after you fork it, everyone need to have his own fork because you have some exercises. And after that, you need to create a chicken issue. But now let's explain it. After that, you can create your chicken issue. So here I have my code here. It's already my fork. So I'm going to open it in study licenses, which I think you all of you have already. We need to now focus a little bit on a few concepts I need to explain. Let me see. We don't have anything good here. So event loop in JavaScript. Let's see if we have something good here. No. That's good. Is that what I want? And you go away. You go away. So that's very nice picture. Actually, it explains a lot. But before we do anything, let me go to test. Let me go to here. And let me ask you this question. What is JavaScript? So what is JavaScript? Yes. What is JavaScript?
A programming language.
Oh, it is a programming language, indeed. Diniando, what is JavaScript? And don't tell me programming language. Give me something new. What is
it is a single thread programming language.
single-threaded programming language? Very good. Anything?
It's an island near Indonesia.
JavaScript.
Java.
Ah, no, I'm talking about JavaScript. Anything?
Programming language.
Yeah. Rodica, what is JavaScript? Something new? It's scripting language. We know that because we use script, so it's scripting language as well. PHP is scripting language as well, for example. But okay, Namarta, new key vocabulary. What else? Okay. So JavaScript is not really object-oriented programming. So Java, C#, C++, this language, they're object-oriented programming. That means anything you create, you need to have a class, and from this class, you need to create object. JavaScript is flexible, JavaScript and Python. In JavaScript and Python, you can code using, for example, object-oriented programming paradigm. I will tell you what paradigm now, or you can use functional paradigm or procedural paradigm. So what is a paradigm? It's just a style of programming. Okay, so programmer normally they code in different styles. Okay, so the way normally most of the application is built in real, now here is using something called object-oriented programming. We will talk about it as in the last week a little bit. I will show you how we can create a class and what is object-oriented programming, and because it depends on 4 concepts. We have some encapsulation, we have abstraction, we have polymorphism, and what else? Encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance. So there is 4 concepts in object-oriented programming we need to understand. I'm going to explain it in the last week after React in a bit. So that's not my point. It's not really an object-oriented programming. It's multiple diagram. It's flexible. It depends on the program. I can write it in functional programming. I can write it in procedural programming. I can write it in object-oriented programming. What else? Agnieszka.
It's functionality.
It is? Yes, indeed. But I want another vocabulary. Ramya? So Dinyando said here is single threaded. That's very good. There is another keyword I'm looking for. Okay. Ijit?
Asynchronous.
Yeah, it is asynchronous. Yeah. But asynchronous is just one part of JavaScript. I mean, it's a concept, and not just in JavaScript. There's a lot of programming languages use asynchronous programming. Python, for example, Java. So there is multiple languages use asynchronous. It's a concept in programming. It's not really specific for JavaScript, but JavaScript use it a lot. So JavaScript simply is a single thread, so a single thread or threaded, non-blocking, asynchronous concurrence. I don't care about concurrence for now. It's important, but for now, it's not important for me. So what's important for me is this one. JavaScript is a single thread, non-blocking. Can anyone explain to me what's that supposed to mean? A single thread. What do I mean? But JavaScript is a single thread, or JavaScript is a single threaded language. For example, just a second, Ejid, I'll be with you. Yes, I'm sorry, what you said?
The execution is done one by one in a line. The execution is done one by one in a line.
Okay, yeah, that's what we call synchronous programming. Synchronous programming, your code is being executed line by line from top to bottom. That's what we've been studying so far. That's what we call synchronous programming. But we have asynchronous programming, and they're very different. Okay, to explain a little bit what do I mean by single thread, I'm gonna here just try to compare two programming languages, and you don't need to know is a second programming language. So we have here JavaScript, JS, and we have PHP. As you know, PHP is also a programming language. It's used for the backend, and PHP is not single-threaded here, it's multi-threaded. So JavaScript, as a thread here, we have one, here multiple. That means multiple thread. But what is the thread? What do you think the thread is? The thread is what executes in your code. I will give you an example. Let's say we have two restaurants, okay? One restaurant, there is only one waiter or waitress working on this restaurant, only one. The second restaurant, there is multiple waiter or waitress working on this restaurant. Now, if you go to restaurant number one, which is only one waiter, and you want to order something, how can you order something? You need to wait for this waiter to take your order, okay? So there is only one guy doing the whole job, single thread, same idea. But when I say, if we go to the second restaurant and we have a multiple waiter or waitress, so not one guy here, not one person here is doing the whole job. There's multiple people can do the same job. Okay, so that's single thread and that multi-thread. So JavaScript, imagine this way, JavaScript, all your code in JavaScript is being executed by single thread. A thread, it's unit of calculation, it's what executing your code, okay? Is the thread clear now? So a thread is what executing your code. And JavaScript, how many call stack JavaScript has? How many call stack JavaScript has? How many call stack JavaScript has? Only one, because it's single thread, so we have only one call stack. What is a call stack? What is a call stack? I cannot hear you. Yes, so it's function calling, but we can explain it in a little bit different way. So a call stack is just like to-do list in JavaScript. So let's say that's a call stack. Let's put that's call stack. And we have some tasks here. So task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4, task 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's just like to-do list for JavaScript. JavaScript, it will come to the call stack. It will find, okay, that's my task number 1. It will execute it. So the thread gonna execute this task. Then it will go to the second one. It will execute it. Then the third one, it will execute it. Then the fourth one, it will execute it, and so on. All the tasks in the call stack, they being executed synchronously. Synchronously mean one by one from top to bottom. That's in the call stack. Again, in the call stack is just like to-do list for JavaScript. The task in call stack is being executed by JavaScript thread or by JavaScript synchronously. That means task by task, from top to bottom. Is the idea clear here? So now we know what is the thread. You know what is the call stack. The call stack is just like to-do list for JavaScript. So what JavaScript need to execute, let's say. So different piece of code, let's say, or different piece of function, let's say. But it's important to understand that in the call stack, JavaScript executes the task synchronously, and synchronously that means one by one from top to bottom. Do not confuse this one with something else. That's in the call stack. Is the idea clear? Okay, we've seen that now how many threads has, and this is multiple thread here. Now, normally you may think because PHP has multi-thread and JavaScript because it has single thread, that means probably PHP, it will be faster comparing to JavaScript, right? So let's take the same example I said, a restaurant with a lot of waiters and restaurant with one waiter or waitress. You imagine like the restaurant with a lot of waiters, it would be faster, right? But what if I told you actually JavaScript is faster than PHP? Of course, it depends on the hardware, so it depends on memory, as I can hear myself. So it depends on the memory, how much memory you have for your machine. It depends on the hardware. It depends on the CPU. But in general, JavaScript is faster than PHP. If I tell you just JavaScript is faster than PHP, would you believe me? Doesn't make sense, huh? Okay. How is it then? Can anyone tell me why JavaScript is faster than? Yeah, but that's just one doing the whole job. And in the gather in PHP, a lot of guys doing the same job.
A lot of guys with the same job, but it can be faster, but it can also have more problem than.
But that's my point. That's mean that's my point. PHP has a lot of threads. That means it should be faster because it can handle. There is a lot of threads that can handle multiple tasks. But JavaScript has only one. Then how come JavaScript is faster? Any explanation? Well, it's quite simple. Diniando.
That's because asynchronous programming.
Indeed, it's because of asynchronous programming. But let me explain it in detail so everyone understands what do I mean. Now, I told you JavaScript has a single thread, right? Let's imagine this way. You are in the restaurant, there is only one waiter or waitress, but this waiter is smart. What do I mean by smart? He will come to the first table. What is your order? Give us a bottle of water, for example. Can I execute this one immediately? Can I do it directly? So it will see if it can execute the task immediately. Of course, bottle of water, you just can bring bottle of water. It will not take no time, right? So just bring bottle of water, give it. Go to the second table. What do you want? I want a steak. So what's going to do, he take his order and he will forward it for the kitchen. So he'll tell the kitchen, prepare this order for me. When it's ready, let me know. And then it will move it to the third table. And so on and so on and so on. So what's happening is, yes, it is single thread, but this thread is very smart. Why? Because it sees the task. If it can execute the task, it will execute it immediately. If it cannot, it will move it to somewhere else. And in the kitchen, there is other people working, okay? There is 3 or 4 people working. They will prepare it, and whenever it's ready, they will give it to him. In PHP, it's not the same. Yes, PHP has multi-threaded, but the thread cannot leave. That's mean. In PHP, if one thread or one waiter, for example, come to Umrah, what do you want? You want steak. He will take his order. He will go to the kitchen by himself. He will prepare it. Even if it take 1 hour or 2 hours, he will prepare everything, and then he will give it back to you. You understand the difference? So in PHP, yes, they are multiple threaded, but this thread cannot do anything. So if they take one task, they cannot do anything else. They will be busy with this task until it's done. And some tasks may take a long time. So they will spend some of this thread. It will take a long time to execute the task. In JavaScript example, no. It will, what is your order? Okay, my order is sandwich. Can I execute it or not immediately? No, it will forward it for some other people in the kitchen. Prepare it for me. Do you understand now why JavaScript is faster than PHP? Yes, it is single-threaded, but it is smart. It's using something called asynchronous programming. That's mean, okay, if I can execute the task, I will execute it. If I cannot, I will move it to somewhere else, and I go to the other task. And when this task is ready, I will go back to it, and I will serve them to the table. Is the idea clear? Yes, Ajit.
Is there a language that has asynchronous and multi-threaded?
I'm sorry.
Is there a language that has both asynchronous and multi-threaded?
Yeah, actually, in Node, especially in Node, we can make Node multi-threaded. We can do that. But I mean, in general, JavaScript is designed to be fast. Okay, it's designed to work with a task which does not consume a lot of, let's say, CPU. So if I have like a very complex game, JavaScript is not a good option. Instead, you can use, for example, C# or you can use C++, which are perfect for this job. If you want to, for example, to create like a website, which is a simple website, you are buying and selling some stuff, so it will not take a lot of time. JavaScript is perfect for this task. In the front end and in the back end. Front end, of course, we need to use JavaScript, but in the back end as well. So Node is designed to do a lot of tasks. It's very fast, but under one condition, the task should not take a lot of CPU. So they shouldn't be heavy task. If they're heavy task, the thread, it will take a lot of time and it will be very slow. So JavaScript in this case is not a good option. There is other option. We have a lot of programming language. Each programming language is good for something, let's say, okay? Do you understand now why we call JavaScript a single thread and how JavaScript is faster than PHP? Cool. Now we have something called non-blocking. What do you mean by non-blocking? I just explained non-blocking. Non-blocking, for example, in the case of PHP, each thread, when it take a task, it's been blocked. It cannot do anything else. It need to wait until it finishes this task. That's what you call blocking. But JavaScript is non-blocking. Why? Because it's smart. Because why? Because if it can execute a task, it will execute it. If it cannot execute, it will forward it. That's what you call non-blocking. So the thread is not blocked to the operation. If it can execute the code, it will do. If not, it will forward it for something we call it API or web API. It's just like a kitchen. Is the idea clear? You need to understand this concept. It's very important concept. Clear for everyone? Good. Now let's go to this guy here and see in reality what's happening in JavaScript. Now this picture is very nice. So let's do that. So voila. So that's our memory. That's JavaScript memory. We have the heap. I told you what do we store in the heap? What do we store in the heap?
Function, object, and array.
Reference type. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we store reference type in the heap. And that's a call stack. I told you JavaScript, how many call stack it has? Only one. Only one. And the call stack, as you can see, I have some task here, as you can see. So a call stack is just like to-do list for JavaScript. So it needs to do this task. And it executes them. It executes them synchronously or asynchronously. Synchronously, that means one by one from top to bottom. So what's happening here? Okay, so the call stack or the thread, it will come here to the call stack. It will take the first task. Can I execute it? If I can execute it, it will execute it immediately. If not, it will move it to a place, like I told you, in the kitchen, we call it web API. So what is with this web API? Web API, we already studied them. So for example, the DOM, our browser has a lot of API inside it. APIs are just some tool help you to do something. So again, what is an API? An API, can someone open the door, please? I need to now to cancel it. What can I say? Okay, so let's have a look at this picture, which is explained simply asynchronous programming. So as you can see here, JavaScript, we have the call stack. And I told you JavaScript has only one call stack. What is a call stack? It's just like to-do list for JavaScript. Remember that the task is done in the call stack synchronously. That means from top to bottom, one by one. So how does that work? So the thread, it will come to the first task in the call stack. It will see here, can I execute this code immediately? If yes, it will execute it. If no, it will move it to something we call web API. So in web API, what are those? In our browser, we have a lot of API. What is API stand for? It stands for application programming interfaces. What is important for me, I have a lot of APIs. The DOM is an API. HTTP request, we will learn after that, is the API. Set timeout is an API. Set interval is API. So the APIs are just some tools help you to do something, just like that. Again, the API, there are some tools help you to do something. Fine. So after the task here, the thread cannot execute this task, it will move it here to the web API. What will happen after that? Well, the task will be waited here until it is finished. So this guy here, this web API, they will do the task. It's just like the kitchen. The guy in the kitchen, they will prepare the food. Same here, web API. My task here, it will be waited here and it will be executed until it's ready. When it's ready, what happened? When it's ready, the web API, it will forward it. It will move it to something we call the queue. Can anyone tell me what's the queue in English? What's the meaning of queue?
Q.
Hmm? Yeah, exactly. So when we go, for example, to buy a sandwich or something, you see there's a lot of people standing in a line. So that's a queue. The queue simply here, as you can see, I will have multiple tasks, a lot of tasks I will have, and all these tasks, they are waiting to be executed in a line, let's say. So I will have task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4, and so on. That's what we call the queue. And now here in the queue, so what will happen after they waited for in the queue? Well, what will happen here, we have some guy called the event loop, and that's very, very, very important in asynchronous programming. So what is the event loop? The event loop is, of course, exists in the front end and the back end, both of them. The event loop here is just a guy, he has only one job, He will see if the call stack is empty. Again, if the call stack is empty, that means there is no task in the call stack, only when it's empty. If it's empty, it will take one task from the queue and it will move it to the call stack to be executed. And that's it. So the event loop, again, it's very important concept. A lot of interview asking about the event loops. It's super important concept. So what is the job of the event loop? Well, the event loop, what is doing here, first, it will check if the call stack is empty and only if it's empty. That means there should be no task in the call stack. When it's empty, it will just forward or move one task from the queue to the call stack to be executed. And when this task is being executed and is empty, then the event loop, it will move another task. And when it's being executed and empty, it will move another task, and so on and so on and so on. The event loop never sleep. All the time he checks the queue to see if there is any task. And if there is any task, he will check the call stack to see if it's empty. If it's empty, it will take one task, it will forward it to the call stack to be executed. And that's simply how asynchronous programming works. Is the idea clear? Question? How come there is no question? It's a new concept. You should have a question. Small note here in the queue. The queue has one concept which is called first in, first out. What do I mean first in, first out? Can anyone tell me? First in, first out.
Like you said, first.
Yeah, that means the first, so as the first task come to inside the queue, it will be the first one, the event loop, move it to the call stack. Okay, so if there is, that's task 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, this is the first task, second, and so on, the call stack will forward the first one, then the second one. So that's what we call first in, because it's the first one come in, and it will be first out, it will come from the queue to the call stack. Is the concept clear? It's simple. First in, first out. Clear? Yes? Let's see an example.
Unload and undone. What's undone?
Here, this one on load, on done, this one. Yeah, but that's like events, that's some task. When I say on click, a handler being executed, right? It's a function. Here is like a function on load, when it's being loaded, my page. On done, when my page is done loading. But here it just means that's their task, that's it. Okay? Let me go to my study synthesis. Let's clear the event loop. Timeout. You don't know what's the timeout, so I need to explain what's the timeout. So again, you know now what is JavaScript. You know it's a single-threaded language, which is non-blocking. It should be clear now. Now, I told you we have a lot of APIs. API stands for Application Programming Interface. We have a lot of APIs. You will hear this term a lot. So APIs are just application programming interface. They are just some tools help you to do something. We have a lot of API in our browser, and we can create our own API on the backend. So when you learn Node, you will create your own API, which normally is a front end ask for information and the API gives this information. Okay. So the API, again, they are just some tool help you to do something. That's it. Fine. One of these API, we have set timeout. So what is set timeout? So if I say set timeout, and I go to set timeout like that, if I click on it, as you can see, my VS Code automatically would complete it for me. So what is set timeout doing? But I'm gonna remove it here just so we can take it. So again, if I ask you what is set timeout, what will be your answer?
Time to execute the
What is set timeout? Just in one word.
delaying execution.
No, I just told you what is set API. I'm sorry, what's set timeout? It's an API. Yes, it is an API. If I told you what is the DOM, you tell me it's an API. If I told you what set interval, that's the API. Now the functionality, I will explain it now, but what it is, it's an API. That means they're just some tool help me to do something. That's it. Okay? Don't tell me it's a function. I know it's a function, I can see, but actually it's an API. So what is this API taking? It takes two parameters. The first parameter, it will be a function. And the second parameter, it will be the delay. Now we'll see what do I mean by the delay. So let's create an arrow function here. So I'm gonna write my arrow function, as you can see. Voila, that's my arrow function. And it takes a second parameter, the second parameter, and you say here in millisecond. So here it will be the delay, and it is in millisecond. Let's say I will say 3 multiplied by 1,000. Can anyone tell me why I am writing 3 multiplied by 1,000? Why I'm doing that?
Instead of 3,000 directly.
So the unit, it is in millisecond. To convert it to second, I need to multiply it by 1,000. So normally I like just to multiply 1,000 like that and keep 3 like that. I know it's 3 seconds. So it's better for my code is more readable like that. So the unit here now, I don't care about millisecond. I just convert it to second. Now I know it's 3. Voila, something like that. Clear? Fine. Now here, what do I want to do? Let's just log hello, for example. Log. And let's just, why this one is not working? It's working now. And now here, let's log something else. Let's log init hello. My keyboard is log. Thank you. Now I have a question for you. Thank you. So as you can see, set timeout, as I told you, it's an API. It takes two parameters. The first parameter is a function. Most of the time we use arrow function because it's just easier. And then I will put, it's a function. I can put any code I want to. And then after that, the second parameter is just a delay. Delay, that means after this time. So my function here, it will not be executed immediately. It will wait until certain time, and then it will execute whatever this function. But it will be happen after, in my case, after 3 seconds. And the unit here is millisecond. And of course, I have console.log here. Now, if I go now to my study licenses, and I click on this one, and I go to test, and I go to init.js. Let's see, go here. And let's go to option, and after that, let's open in. If I use open in, we have GS Tutor. If you click on this one, we have something called GSV 9000. Let's open our code in this guy. So let's click on that. And as you can see, we have something a little bit nice. So as you can see, that's our queue. The queue just I described is divided in 2 parts, but just ignore them. Imagine it as one part. I have my call stack and I have my event loop. And here it does not show the web API. But let's try to execute our code here. Now, if I execute my code, do you think this code, this part of code, it will happen first? Or this part of code, it will happen first, and why? The first one? This one, it will happen. That's strange, huh? No? Because we are used to that our code being executed from the top to bottom.
Set the timeout.
True. So that's what we call asynchronous programming. Not always your code now, it will be executed from top to bottom, line by line. No, I told you, the thread, it will check the task. If it can execute it immediately, it will do so. If not, it will just forward it. It will forward it to API. It will wait for there until the time is finished. then it will come back to the queue, and then it will come back to the call stack to be executed. So let's go try to run one by one. Click. We should have steps now, if I'm not mistaken. Voila. So as you can see, I have something called step here. So let's try to execute it step by step and see what will happen. As you can see, that's my function here. So what happened here, this function here, which is anonymous function, anonymous, that means it has no name, it's been moved to the queue. Why it's been moved to the queue? Because JavaScript cannot execute it immediately. It needs to wait for 3 seconds. Let's hit step again. And now, as you can see, hello world is being executed. And that's what you said, really. Hello world is being executed in the console. Now I go to the next step. Now, as you can see, notice the call stack was empty. Then what the event loop did, it just moves this task now to the call stack, and now it will be executed after that in net.js. Cool? Cool or no? I have another website which will be much better. Let's just check it. What was the name of this website? Diniando, do you remember what was the name of the website? I forgot what. Loop. That's it. Voila. This is the same idea, but it's more clear what I'm explained here. So let me get rid of this code. Let's add my code and save and run. Notice what will happen. It will happen directly here. It will not be step. So I have my call stack. I have web API. And notice now the first task, which is set timeout, it will come to the call stack. It cannot execute it. It will forward it to the web API. It will wait here for 3 seconds, and then it will move to the queue. Then the queue here, then the event loop here, it will check if the call stack is empty, then it will forward it to the call stack. So notice what will happen. Click. Notice it moved to the web API. Now it will wait. It will wait. Now console.log is being executed. It's wait until the time is finished, move to the queue, and then the event loop, because the call stack was empty, it's forwarded to the call stack, and voila, it's been executed. Cool. It's exactly what I explained. Yes? No? Do you want me to repeat it again? What do you want me to repeat? Tell me. What's the problem?
Again, this one, because of this one.
This one? It will be fast. So I will explain it, because now what will happen? It will happen fast. I cannot forward it step by step like other program. So what will happen here? Let me just get rid of this code. I don't want this code. I just want my code. I will save and run. Now, if I click save and run, JavaScript, it will come first to this one, this API. It will try to execute it, but can JavaScript execute it? No. Why? Because I need to wait, or JavaScript thread need to wait 3 seconds. So what's it going to do? Well, it will first, it will take it to the call stack. It will evaluate it in the call stack. Can I execute it or not? No. It will move it to the web API. It will wait in the web API 3 seconds until the time is done. Then it will be moved to the queue. Now, during this time, the second task, which is console.log, it will come to the call stack. It will be executed, because JavaScript can execute it immediately. Then, when the event loop here, it will check if the call stack is empty, then it will forward this task to the call stack, and it will be executed. Clear? Let's see, notice it will be fast a little bit. That's my function or my API. Now go to the web API. Now console.log is being executed. Voila. Now it will wait 3 seconds. It will move to the queue, and it's empty. Voila. The event loop move it here, and it's being executed. I think it should be clear. Any question? Yes, no? Should be clear. Fine. So now we've seen the first API we need to study, which is called set timeout. We have another API. By the way, if you want to stop the set timeout for any reason, we have something called clear timeout. Clear timeout. And in clear timeout here, I need to pass something called the ID here. Well, that's what we called here, timeout ID. And you may tell me, what is the timeout ID? Well, if you want to stop the set timeout for some reason, you need to save this one in a variable. So const ID, it's equal to this one. And this function here, or this API, it will return an ID, as you can see. It will return a unique ID. Okay, so this set timeout, if I save the result, it will return a unique ID. I can save it in a variable. If I want to stop it, I can use clear timeout, and I need to pass this ID here. And that's how we stop it. Clear? Again, if I want for some reason to stop the set timeout, What I need to do? Well, that's my function here, or my API set timeout. As you can see, it's like that. But I can store it in a variable. Can I store it in a variable or not? So I can just say const. You can name it whatever you want to. I just name it ID. And voila. Now, this guy here, if I hover over it, notice it will return me something here. If I hover over it, it's telling me it return not timeout, or to return something actually. So it's callback, blah, 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 callback. If you go to the definition here, it will just tell you that this set timeout here, all of it, it return a unique ID. Because why? Because if I have multiple set timeout, each one, it will be unique ID. And now, actually, let me log it. It will be clear for you. Let me log it. It will be better. If I log the ID now, it will give me one. It should give me one because I do not have another ID for now. So if I have a second set timeout, it will be 2 and so on and so on and so on. Let me go from here to my test, refresh this one. And if I click on this one, I go to my console. And if I run, notice give me 1. If I have another one, I'll give it 2. Another one 3, another one 4, and so on and so on. So set timeout, this one, it return a unique ID. If I want to stop for some reasons this set timeout, I can stop it using this API or method, which is called clear timeout, and I need to pass the ID. Once the ID, I told you, it's what this API return here. I just need to pass it this way, and voila. And now here, if I run my code, nothing will be executed. Can anyone tell me why? If I now run my code, and let's see, if I run my code now, nothing it will happen. Why? Nothing is happening. Because JavaScript, it will come to this code, so it will try to wait 3 seconds for that. Then it will go to this one, number 6. And then number 6, it will be executed immediately because it will clear this set timeout. So it will kind of just remove it, just like it does not exist. So again, JavaScript, that's right, come to execute this code. It cannot execute it immediately. It will go to the second one, this one. It can execute this one. Why? Because it's just, I'm trying to clear the timeout. So it will just clear the timeout, and it's just like this one does not exist anymore. It will remove it. Clear?
Yeah, but if I want to execute after some time and then clear.
Well, you can add another set timeout if you want to. So I can add another set timeout like that. Set timeout, and I need to, of course, to pass a function. You can have as many you want to. Let's say I want to stop it after 2 seconds. It's okay. 2 multiplied by 1,000, of course. And now here, I can now call it here. So I can just say clear interval. I'm sorry, clear in timeout, and I need to pass the ID. Notice what will happen here. Here's the same idea. You will see nothing. Why? Because here it had to wait 3 seconds. But this one only 2 seconds. So this one, it will happen first. And now if I go to my code, refresh, and try to execute my code, nothing happened again. But if I give it, for example, let's give it 5. What do you think it will happen? If I give it 5, what do you think will happen?
First one is
This one should happen first. That means actually I will see console.log because this one will happen. It just needs 3 seconds. This one needs seconds. So this one will happen first. And this one, it's just like this one is useless. It has no meaning. Why? Because this one takes 3 seconds. This one takes 5 seconds. So this one, it will happen first. And now if I go to my code, the console.log, it will happen as you can see. Clicky. Why it's not running?
It did,
I'm sorry.
it did, you have to wait.
Yeah, you are right. You are right. I'm sorry. Yeah, actually it does because I need to wait 3 seconds. You're right. So now if I click here, and voila, as you can see. But if this time here, as you can see, if this time 2 less, it's normal that this one happened first, so it will clear my timeout and I will not have it. Let's try it again. Refresh, click, and I will wait. Even if I wait for tomorrow, nothing will happen. Clear? So that's the first API. What is the second API? The second API, we call it set interval. Set in interval. So set interval is very similar to set timeout, but it takes the same parameter, by the way, a function and delay. But what will happen this timeout, how many times happen? This timeout, how many times it happened? 1 time. Set interval here, it will happen repeatedly After the delay, it will happen 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 10 times, million times. It will keep going until I stop it myself. So here in the set interval, I need to stop it. I have no other choice. So let me show you what do I mean. So here I can just say set interval and say interval. I told you it's an API. It's an idea. I take 2 parameters. It will be a function. And the second parameter, it will be the delay. And let's say here, let's set interval. And I will say, oh, I want it after 2,000 like that. So it will be 2 seconds. Now, what do I want to do? I want to print this one here to the console. Let's say I'm gonna comment this one. I want to print this one to the console 5 times. What should I do? Only 5 times. After that, I want this one to stop. What should I do, Dunyando? I want this log to happen 5 times only. Remember here, the first time it will happen after 2 seconds. Second time after 4. After that, 6. Then 8. Then
After 10,
10.
I need to stop setting.
So what I need to do here, I need to stop it after 10. So how can I do it? Well, it's simple. I can just use set timeout. We just seen it. I can use set timeout, and in set timeout, it will run when the delay is being only 1 time, of course. Yeah, I forgot the arrow like that. And here, when do I want to stop it? After 1,000. So 10. And now here to make sure I will not exactly make it 10, I will make it 1,000 and, for example, 5, let's say. Yeah, 1 and 5 like that. 15 is 1, no, that's too much. Let's just make it 11. Why 11? Because 11 will be 1,100, and here it's happen each 200, right? So it will happen only 5 times. So what you need to do, you need to calculate the time here. Okay, I need, here we have 2,000 milliseconds, 2,000, 4,000, 6,000. So at 10,000, it will happen 5 times. Here I need to stop it after 10,000 by a little bit. And here, let's say just 1,100. It will not be 1,200. So let's notice, clicky, and see what will happen. Run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now it should stop. No, 6. It's not stopping actually. No, this time is wrong, I think.
You did not pass ID. You did not pass ID.
ID for set and time.
Yeah, stop. I forgot to stop it. Thank you for telling me. Of course, it will not stop. I need to use now here clear interval. I need now to use clear interval. It's the same idea. I didn't use clear interval. My mistake. Sorry for that. So I need to stop it. How can I stop it? I need to say clear interval and ID. It's the same idea. And here I need to store the ID. So I'll say const ID. It's equal to this one. And now it will work. It's the same concept, exactly like clear timeout. It will be clear interval. I need to pass the ID here. So ID is save it here. Let's try again. Refresh. Let's run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It should stop now. And voila. See? It stopped. Why it stopped? Because it's coming here. Okay, 2. It will happen 1 time. 4. I'm not calculating the millisecond. I'm calculating the second. It's up to you if you want to say 1,000. 6. It will happen 3 times, right? 8. It will happen 4 times. And 10. It will happen 5 times. So I want to stop it after 10. I should not allow to be 12, because if it will be 12, it will be executed again. So here I'm saying 11, and 11, it's just 1,100. It's not being 12, and it will stop it at 11. Clear? Is the concept clear?
Like to be a set interval, but start without any delay, and after that, 2 seconds. Yeah. So if I would like to set interval, but start without any delay, like the first.
That's wrong way. If you want to do so, set interval, you're trying to repeatedly executing a task. If you don't put the delay, it will happen super fast. It will happen fast to a degree you cannot control it. It will not be useful. You need to set a timeout here. For timeout and interval, you need to put the time.
Yes, but I would like to have every 2 seconds, but the first one, the first console log should be immediately and after each two. Yeah, each two.
No, it doesn't work this way. You can, so set interval, it happen in, so all this function, it will repeatedly be executing according to this time here. If you want one of the log to happen in different time, let's say after 1 millisecond, okay? So what you can do here, you can just create another set interval. You can have multiple. You can create another of, if you want to do it one time, the first one only want to be only so. So you can create set timeout, and voila, instead of this one. And here you will just copy the same, this one. Voila, you will remove this one. And here it will, let's say, happen after 1. Okay, now here, as you can see, this one, it will happen after 1. And then it will come this one happen after 2. Voila. You got the idea.
And then after 0, so immediately,
You got 0?
yeah, 0, so immediately.
What do you mean 0?
Not with 1 millisecond delay, but with 0 delay.
You want with 0 delay? You can do with 0 delay if you want to. If you want to pass with 0 delay, voila, it will happen. You can pass 0 if you want to. It is possible.
Can we run
Immediately or no?
the first one immediately and after each 2 seconds?
Ah, no. Okay. Anything happen immediately, it must be synchronous programming, which I mean, you shouldn't have set timeout or set interval like that. If you want it to happen immediately, it must be like that. It must be synchronous code, not asynchronous code. Remember, all the time, the synchronous code happen first. It must finish everything in synchronous code, then asynchronous happen. That means if I want the console log to happen immediately, I need to write it this way. I cannot put it inside set timeout or set interval, even if I put 0. If I put 0, it doesn't mean it will happen immediately. No, it means it will wait for all asynchronous code to finish, then it will start, even if the delay is 0. You got my point? So if you want to happen immediately, you need to write it in synchronous way, the way we write it. But if you want to wait, you need to use here in this case asynchronous program set timeout or set interval. Is it quite clear now? Yes, Ajit.
For it to run forever.
If you you mean set interval? If you did not stop it, yes, it will run forever if you did not stop it. And that's the reason here why I taught you how to use clear timeout and clear interval. Now, clear timeout, we don't use it a lot. Why? Because it's not smart to write a function to be happen after some time and then stop it unless there's something in your code. But most of the time, clear interval, or all of the time, clear interval, you need to stop it because it will never stop. And be careful, because if you don't stop it, sometimes it may damage your browser because the task happen again and again and again and again. Just a small note. Now, you are allowed to use set interval and set timeout, but the delay must not be less than 10 milliseconds. So try not to go beyond 10 milliseconds like that. 10 milliseconds like that. That's the minimum. That's not recommended to go beyond 10 milliseconds. Why? Because 10 milliseconds is very, very short time. And here, JavaScript does not behave as you expecting. So it will not give you the same result as you expecting. Now, sometimes I use it. It's okay with the stopwatch like that. I use it 2 milliseconds, but you need to be careful, okay? So there is a warning here. When you use set timeout, set interval, if you go to the documentation, they will tell you try not to go beyond 10 milliseconds.
Can we prepare something like that, the project?
Of course, that will be your task actually. So yeah, a stopwatch, that will be your task. Okay.
Sorry, Samir, Adil is downstairs.
Yeah. Someone is coming. Who was it?